Bad football and also Hattie B's hot chicken. Well, I guess bad pro football. The college football is good. Nico Iamaleava winning awards yet again. Jackson, the fourth straight week.
I was wrong. Arch Manning won it last week.
Okay.
But he did win the SEC Freshman of the Week this week.
Okay. Congratulations to Vols fans. You have a good football team. Titans fans, we're working our way through a bit of therapy here at this point. 615-737-1045, the number. So a couple of things from Brian Callahan's press conference just now that are worth bringing back. But we've talked about Malik Willis, and did the Titans get it wrong with Malik Willis? We didn't answer the question. We asked the question. We didn't answer the question. Did they get it wrong? I don't think that they made the wrong decision in trading away Malik Willis. Because he looks good and because he dusted you on Sunday, it feels worse. It's easy to do revisionist history with the results in hand, but there was never a situation in which he was going to, well, now, let me say this. Did Will Levis earn the starting quarterback job, or was Will Levis given the starting quarterback job? Because Will Levis leapfrogged Malik last year, and Titans fans were good with it. Most Titans fans were good with it, it seemed. And they brought in Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph's the most expensive quarterback they had in camp. He's the highest paid quarterback. He's the most proven quarterback that they have on the roster still, by the way. And there was no disputing that Mason Rudolph was the kind of quality backup that any NFL team would be happy to have, and they paid legitimate guaranteed money to have him. So the Mason Rudolph signing immediately made Malik disposable. Whether or not Will Levis earned the job or was given the job is maybe something that can be debated. But I still think, even with all the facts in hand, including yesterday's ass-kicking at the hand of Malik Willis, 30-14, where he looks great, career highs rushing, passing, and scoring for him as a quarterback. 23 points. I know it wasn't 30. They scored as a team 30. The Packers scored 30. We're going to eclipse 1,000 days without the Titans scoring 30, by the way.
Yes, that is guaranteed.
We are going to eclipse the 1,000-day mark without this professional football organization getting 30 or more points by pick six, by block punt, by offense, by whatever, when the Carolina Panthers scored 36 yesterday and make me sick to my stomach.
That's an interesting...
Not quite.
Not fantastic. That's an interesting question. Did Levis earn the starting job, or was he given the starting job? Even going back to last year, because let's remember... When Ryan Tannehill went down and got hurt in London against the Ravens, it wasn't Will Levis who came in. It was Malik Willis, and it didn't look good.
Now, there's a specific reason why that was the case, though. Will was not active for the game. He's the emergency quarterback.
That's right, because he's not the backup.
He's dressed, yes, because he's not the backup.
Yeah.
You're right. So Malik Willis was the backup quarterback until he was leapfrogged after the bye.
Willis came in. Immediately took a sack, if memory serves.
Took 4.
Yeah, it didn't look good. It was moving way too fast for him.
Yeah.
Titans went into a bye week and came out on the other side with Levis starting against the Falcons, and that was as competent as the offense looked all season long. It was the only time all season long the Titans had a true downfield threat at quarterback.
Now, the compensation, though, a 7th-round pick, a 2025 7th-round pick, results in hand, that looks like a bad deal. It's a quarterback. They got something for him. They could have just cut him, and they could have gotten nothing for him. And I don't know. Matt LaFleur specifically looking at Malik Willis and saying, yeah, I'll give you a 7th for him. I can make that work, is different than if, like, say, Dan Campbell traded for him, or, somebody who's not one of the most gifted offensive coaches in the league going right now. Again, I'm not discrediting Malik Willis. I'm just saying situationally, they did him, honestly, the Titans organization did him a solid by sending him to Green Bay because he got a legit opportunity, and look what he's doing with it, to his credit. We had ran on the day after roster cuts, right? He said Malik Willis is leaps and bounds better than when I arrived here, and that's not the GM that drafted him, but still. So, did they get the decision to move him wrong? No. Did they get the compensation wrong? Maybe you could have that argument, but again, you're doing that with results in hand, having no idea what Malik Willis would have done in these situations.
Yeah, would Malik Willis, if he had to start for the Titans against the Packers, let's say in an alternate universe where the Packers are down to Sean Clifford as their backup with Jordan Love injured, and Malik Willis did win the starting job over Mason Rudolph, and let's say, hypothetically, he had to play for the Titans, would the results have been the same? Probably not. Probably not. Offensive line play would have still been the same. So the circumstances matter. He was drafted into as unstable a situation as he possibly could have been drafted in. It couldn't have been more unstable from the time he was drafted to the time he left. And now he is at one of the more stable organizations in NFL history with a head coach that at this point is experienced, is a good play caller, one of the best in the league, has a sound situation in front of him on the offensive line, and dynamic pass catchers around him. He's in a fantastic situation, and he's taken full advantage.
Have you heard this clip, this Matt LaFleur clip yet?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm in Levis's press conference last night, or I guess yesterday evening, and the fire alarm at Nissan Stadium starts going off. Irony. I am in the Levis press conference, though, and, the fire alarm stops very shortly afterwards. It's maybe going for about 10 seconds, and then it cuts. You can hear that also if you're listening to or watching the Green Bay Packers press conference, because Matt LaFleur is at the podium at the same time that Will Levis is. So this is Matt LaFleur's post-game press conference while the fire alarm is going off at Nissan Stadium.
Happy for our guys and proud of their effort.
You mentioned how we don't get it. I don't know. Keep going on it.
Whatever, keep going, keep firing away.
You mentioned how we.
They told me this city was going to burn if we came in here and won the game, so I guess it is.
They told me this city was going to burn if we came in here and won the game. Matt LaFleur, a savage. Just knife twist.
Yeah. How about the symbolism from that Florida State situation carrying over to the Titans with Mike Norvell talking and the fire alarm going off?
Hey, you know the difference between Florida State and the Titans? Florida State won over the weekend.
They did. They finally won a game, beat Cal.
615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go to Chuck up next.
Yes, Buck, I don't like this quarterback room we have right now. I really don't. I know Tannehill's a past thing, and we couldn't afford to keep him, but we were a lot better off with Tannehill and Josh Dobbs. I believe Josh Dobbs is a better backup that we got, better than Will Levis or whoever, Mason Rudolph. But that's my question. Do you think we're better off with what we have than them?
Than Dobbs and Tannehill? I mean, Ryan Tannehill is a better professional quarterback, but Ryan Tannehill would be under the same amount of duress that Will Levis would be. No quarterback can function the way, and again, Levis and his feel in the pocket is also a question, so I'm not absolving him of some of the sacks that he's taking.
But there's a reason we've barely talked about him today. We've barely talked about Will Levis.
I know, but I think that's a product of how much worse. Like, I still think that the quarterback, I know that he's not the biggest issue on the docket today, but the turnover differential is killing them.
It's killer.
Killing them. So that's not to absolve Will Levis for what happened yesterday. Will Levis was a part of the problem. The difference between this day and the two other Monday reaction shows that we've done after losses is that Will Levis is not the primary talking point here. There's a million other things that went wrong in that game.
He didn't do the things he did in weeks 1 and 2. Turn the ball over, yes, but the context matters, right? He did not do the things that he did in the first 2 weeks, but he also didn't do anything to have us sitting here talking about true progress, even if he was better in week 3 than he was in weeks 1 and 2, but it doesn't matter because he hardly had a chance.
The point is, it's not I'm not going to say that it's not your quarterback room, but your quarterback room is a product of your protection, and your protection right now is piss poor. Sam on YouTube says, so why can't we acknowledge that the Titans and Callahan are unstable and not doing enough, but we can acknowledge that Green Bay is stable and that LaFleur schemed Malik into a competent quarterback? That's fine to acknowledge. Who's not acknowledging that? Brian Callahan is acknowledging that at his press conference.
That's what we just said.
That's literally what just came out of Lucas's mouth, an organization that prides itself on stability and continuity. And the Titans are,
they have been for the last 3 years unstable.
More than that. Than that. I was saying, I thought you were going to make the argument for stability in the Titans, where I look at the Titans as having moments of fleeting stability and largely chaos around their situation because their wide receiver position is cursed and apparently their quarterback position is cursed as well. No, I think that's exactly what that statement from Brian Callahan is. That's an acknowledgement that he is not doing enough as the head coach.
I don't think Levis's performance yesterday should bring you any closer to bench Will Levis.
No,
Like
that
shouldn't be.
specific performance should not. I know that it's the easy thing to do, especially the pick six, because Jair Alexander's a good player, and that's his first pick six, by the way. First career pick six.
Yeah, which is surprising.
People don't throw at him.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? It's like Snead. People don't throw at Snead. Snead doesn't have crazy interception numbers.
But because we've talked about the season is about figuring out Will Levis and finding out about Will Levis more than it is winning 8, maybe 9 games.
And that problem is being amplified by the offensive line refusing to allow us to evaluate that quarterback.
Makes it harder. But at some point you do, if the turnovers that Levis had in the first 2 weeks were to continue, and you're Brian Callahan, yes, the season is about finding out about Will Levis, but you do at some point have to look at the other, 50-plus guys in the locker room in the eye and tell them that you're trying to put them in a position to succeed, and to keep trotting out the quarterback that keeps doing the thing is not doing that. So there would have to be a breaking point somewhere along the way on, okay, we just can't. We can't carry on like this. The locker room is going to tear apart.
Hey, man.
But yesterday, I don't think brought us any closer to that point.
It's 3 more turnovers, though, and I know the interception. The interception at the end of the game is not. I mean, that's just them trying to get something. Right?
And the sack fumble is just him getting decapitated because NPF, had his ankles broken.
Every turnover deserves context. Yesterday's context is pick six bad. Other 2, I'll pin them on somebody else because that's not on Will Levis, from my estimation, nor the coaching staff's estimation. And Will Levis was asked yesterday if he felt like he was pressing. He said, yeah, the one time that I felt like I was pressing was when I was trying to get explosive at the end of the game with that interception. And it just, that's just a desperation heave. That's him just trying to get something done. Okay, 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Why do they all say that they've been on hold for the same amount of time, Jackson? What did you do to the phone lines? All right, whatever. Blake.
What up, guys? So I thought that they were saying that Malik was having a good preseason and having a good offseason.
He was.
So I don't understand because they said that
it wasn't they, it was us. We were talking about that. I was in New Orleans. I watched that.
Yeah, so when are we going to start talking about the owners and their problem? Because the guy called earlier and said that y'all wasn't acknowledging the fact that Green Bay was a real organization and the Titans are kind of a joke. When are we going to start acknowledging that?
Oh, brother, there's acknowledgement of that every day. I mean, the Titans are, among the NFL, like, poverty franchise feels like a tough thing to hit anybody with, but it's not like their history is their history is covered in glory. It's a problem. Their best history is the Houston Oilers history, not the Tennessee Titans history. Save McNair and an AFC championship run in 2019. Like that, I feel like I've talked about that since I got this job covering this team 8 seasons ago.
Yeah, it's
stabilized since Amy took over as the Tommy Smith era, a mess, right? That is the definition of poverty franchise. Tommy Smith, Ken Wisenhunt. By the way, welcome back to coaching.
Memphis Showboats head coach Ken Wisenhunt.
Titans legend.
He's in the UFL.
Never started 0-3.
How about that?
Yeah, so Ken Wisenhunt taking his talents back to coaching in Tennessee, just in Memphis. But yeah, I'll bring up something that I thought of last night. You remember the press conference when they hired Callahan, or when they announced Callahan's hire? Lombardi expectations, championship organization, 0-3. He's got a phone call apparently scheduled, and not that this is any kind of like, oh, he's on the hot seat already type of stuff. Apparently he has a regular conversation with Amy on Mondays anyway, but it's the first time a coach has been asked about that regular conversation with the owner.
Yeah, it hasn't gone the way, even close to the way that people thought it would with all the moves they made in the offseason.
And if you want more coverage of the ownership, here's the problem. The business of football and the owners are not covered sufficiently because they don't have to make themselves available. They don't have to. It's not like Amy is doing a Jerry Jones post-game press conference and stuff like that. We were on their necks about Amy not doing any kind of media availability other than sitting down with Teresa Walker one-on-one in her office after they canned Mike. Like, if you want accountability from ownership, the ownership has to be willing to be accountable. And I don't know what she's going to tell you. She's not an offensive guru. She obviously has experience in this. This has been in her family for a long time. And there is no question that the franchise is in a better state now than at the end of her father's tenure. And then, of course, the Tommy Smith nonsense. But sure, don't tell me championship expectations and then make all these changes, spend all this money, and trot out 0-3. It's unacceptable. You're not wrong nobody is wrong for bringing that up. Slappy is next. What a great name.
Buck,
Yo.
Lucas, y'all are too young to probably remember this. There used to be a show on Nickelodeon called You Can't Do That on television. Well, they had this cook, and his name was Barth. And if you said anything bad about what Barth was cooking up in his kitchen, he'd stick his head out and say, I heard that. Well, I wonder what Rand's thinking up in his kitchen today with his mayonnaise when he sees that he took a John Robinson's third quarterback pick and he lost to his second-round quarterback pick. But guess what? He flipped it for a 7th and an L. But the biggest thing, the defense, how many turnovers do they have? A big old goose egg 0. I know one guy that's already got a turnover this year. His name is Kevin Byard from MTSU, baby. Hey, quick shout-out to the AD out there. Hey, Massaro, the next time you want to have Duke come in on homecoming, make it the lacrosse team. At least it'll feel good for a minute. Holla!
That's tough to
man,
beat.
that was good.
Well done by Slappy. Well done. Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, we'd be happy to have you. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone.